I'm Rantasmo, and 1313 needs more gay. David DeCoteau is living proof that movies can be produced in bulk. DeCoteau has directed nearly 50 movies in the last 6 years alone, mostly low-budget schlock horror with a spattering of talking animal family comedies. If you are familiar with the modern cult classic A Talking Cat, that was David DeCoteau.
I'm a talking cat.
If there are two words that best describe the bulk of DeCoteau's work, those words are fake and gay. He specializes in horror with homoerotic undertones, and sometimes overtones. Unfortunately, they're usually not very well acted or written, and their editing style tends to be languid and ponderous to the point of boredom. Watching a David DeCoteau movie tends to be an exercise in endurance more than anything else. Everything about them just ends up feeling artificial, fake.
You do not know who you are dealing with here.
But in a sense, being fake and gay is the very essence of camp, and if DeCoteau's movies have any redeeming quality, it is campiness. I'm here to talk about a very specific period in DeCoteau's career, the 1313 series of horror films released in 2011 and 2012. Why is the series called 1313? Well, the less tacky reason is that nearly all of these movies were shot in the same house, which also happens to be the same house they used in A Talking Cat. As far as I can tell, this house was owned by a friend of David DeCoteau's, so it was probably pretty cheap to film in. The first movie in the series is 1313 Nightmare Mansion, and 1313 is presumably supposed to be that mansion's address, probably an homage to the house from the Munsters. Also, the series has 13 movies in it, so yeah. But the real reason for that title is that these movies were mostly produced for video-on-demand services, and when you look at a list of movies in alphabetical order, the ones with numerals at the beginning are going to be at the very top. So basically, they named it 1313 because it was more profitable for it to be named that. Titles in the 1313 series, to name a few, include Cougar Cult, about a trio of flesh-eating feline witches, Actor/Model, about a serial-killing thespian who murders his rivals, and Giant Killer Bees, which is about, well, guess. There's also one non-horror entry, Hercules Unbound, which is mostly just an excuse to show guys flexing in loincloths. This series is porn? I feel pretty comfortable calling it porn. It is, however, incredibly tame porn. The guys never actually get fully naked. Mostly they just strip down to underwear or a bathing suit and walk around this house and occasionally take showers and rub themselves. That's it. These movies have the pacing and tenuous narrative structure of a pornographic film, but none of the explicitness that would necessitate a restricted rating. Also, the guys tend to get murdered.
Trust me right there, boy. You don't want to call the cops.
You'll notice that the cover art for a number of these movies will market them as a supernatural thriller for girls, or a science fiction chiller for girls. Look, I know that women look at porn. I don't doubt that there are plenty of women out there who'd get a kick out of this sort of thing. But I gotta be honest, I don't get the sense that these movies were made for girls. I'll admit it's a very subtle distinction, but when you watch as much gay porn as I have, and at this point it is literally part of my job, you become intimately familiar with the genre's tropes. Shirtless guys working out in gyms, playing sports, roughhousing, doing traditionally masculine things in a distinctly sexual context. These things feel very familiar. This series also suffers from one of the major systemic flaws of the gay porn industry, which is to say a propensity towards white dudes. Not exclusively white dudes, but just saying, a lot of white dudes. There are occasionally female characters, but they're always fully clothed, and they're usually older women, many of them played by iconic scream queens from 1980s horror schlock. Sort of the divas of gay horror fans.
Well, hello, gentlemen.
These characters are often in a sexually predatory role, but they're never really avatars for the audience. If anything, they're more often intended as a Yas Queen eliciting camp figure, akin to Grace from Dante's Cove, or Mimi I'm First's appearance in that Harry Potter porn parody. 1313 speaks the language of gay porn without ever definitively being gay porn. It's as gay as you can get without technically showing anything gay. And maybe there's a place for that, the same way there was a place for Abercrombie & Fitch ads and the Beefcake magazines of the 1950s. But 1313 kind of falls into the same category as Dante's Cove or The Covenant. It's amusing enough at a glance, but if you're looking for campy horror or just some hot guys in boxer briefs, there are much better options available to you. If, however, you're looking for long walks in empty hallways, shape-shifting cougar witches, or a clumsily animated talking cat, I'm pretty sure there's only one director who can fit the bill.
I don't make the rules, Phil.